Hi everyone, welcome to this week's History with Holly. I'm on holidays at the moment and so I have been doing a lot of reading. I wanted to make this video out on the beach with the beach in the background. It would have been so beautiful, but it is so windy that you wouldn't have been able to hear anything I said. Anyway, today's book is called The Girl Who Played with Fire, and it's part of a trilogy by Steig Larsson, and it's really fascinating. I read the first book, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which has been made into a film, if you might have seen that, over Christmas, and it's a real page, it's an absolute amazing thriller about this journalist called Michael Blomqvist and his newspaper Millennium, who are a real left-wing, society-challenging newspaper, and this woman called Lisbeth Salander, who sort of comes out of the woodwork and is psychologically unhinged and allows and is a hacker essentially, and all about their adventures looking into a guy called Wennerstrom and the Vanger family, and it's a socio-economic thriller. It's a crime fiction essentially. It's a murder mystery. It's a mystery of a woman, Harriet Vanger, who went missing, and her grandfather's attempt to find her, and that's it. Anyway, that's the original, but it's a really page-turning thriller. Anyway, the second one focuses a lot more on the character of Lisbeth Salander, and it is, again, a brilliant page-turner. Like, I was trying to read it and falling asleep reading it because it was so good, sort of book, and it's just the twist at the end is brilliant. And there is a third one, and I can't wait to read that. I've borrowed them from a friend, so I'll be borrowing that as soon as I get home. But I just cannot emphasize, the thing that really struck me that's relevant to society is about how we underestimate people with mental illnesses. So this woman has been declared psychotic and locked up in a mental institution, and the reasons why that happened come out in the book, and it's fascinating. It's, Russian spies, cover up. They're all set in Sweden, by the way, but they're in English. Anyway, and it's just fascinating how people totally underestimate people with a mental illness. So as soon as the team, because there was a double murder committed, and her fingerprints were found on the murder weapon, and so the police wanted to bring her in, but she eluded them for a long time, and they get the reports from the old psychiatric unit that she was under guardianship and that she had been incarcerated in a psychiatric unit and then released into foster homes but under guardianship. And even after she was 18, she's 26 in the book, she was under guardianship because she was deemed unfit to manage her own affairs. And straight away they just assume she must be the killer. They assume she's psychotic and deranged and therefore capable of murdering too, and then there turns up to be her own guardian turns up murdered as well. They just assume that she must be the killer because she's psychotic and deranged. And then of course they talk to people who knew worked with her recently and get a very different picture, find out how smart she is and how brilliant she is. They don't find out she's a hacker, but they find out she's brilliant with computers and that she was employed by a really high-end security company to do research and a journalist to do research. And it just paints a really different picture, obviously, and then they go off and find different leads, and it's really interesting. The twist is a bit of gruesomeness, rape scenes in it, and some graphic violence, so I wouldn't read it if you're really, really sensitive to that sort of stuff. A lot more rape stuff in the first book than the second one, but it's still there. It's quite confronting. Apparently, I haven't seen the movie for the first one, but apparently the rape scenes are very graphic, just like in the book, so warning. But it's, so just, I don't know, I encourage you to read the books because they're brilliant. But also think about, how do you prejudge people that have a history of mental illness or a current mental illness diagnosis? Do you assume they're less capable because of that, or not? Anyway, that's today's History with Holly. Thanks for listening. See you next week.